welcome to episode 9 of the Quality Podcast with me, Ashkan Farnian, and my colleague,
Jonas.
How are you today?
I'm all good. All good.
Perfect, perfect. The sun is shining.
It was, but I think it's gone down now.
Yeah, we're
Here in Sweden.
Unfortunately, we're in the studio, so we can't see the sun right now. But I hope we can see a glimpse of it before we go home tonight. But today we're going to talk about something very interesting. Something that has a set timeline. And I'm talking about accessibility testing. So before I start shooting all my questions about this topic, I know it's a broad topic, but I Googled accessibility testing, and I want to read out the definition. So we can, have a common ground on how we look at and how we define it. So accessibility testing is the practice of making your web and mobile apps usable to as many people as possible. It makes apps accessible to those with disabilities, such as vision impairment, hearing disabilities, and other physical or cognitive conditions. So first of all, I get super happy when I read this definition because it's we are becoming more and more inclusive in how we consume digital services, the internet, the mobile apps, etc. So this is actually a very good initiative, and I know that the European the EU is coming with new regulation in regards to this VCAG. But before we dig deep into this, what's your view on the definition and overall the accessibility part of testing?
Well, I think it's super important, but I think it also introduces a standard of how we create stuff. I think if we look at how tech, like digital tech, internet and computers and such, we haven't really been working with standards. If you look at any other area, like medicine, the amount of standards, it's crazy. Automation, like cars, transportation, the amount of standards. There, if you're gonna build, create a building or build a building, architect a building, there are standards that's been around for hundreds of years. We are a pretty new area where the standards have been pretty poor, and we have just been going along, and it's been going really, really fast. So I think these standards are really good, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to improve the whole ecosystem. We spoke about this earlier. I think it's also going to improve on the accessibility for creating new services. So, for example, AI is going to work really good. Like it's going to be easier for AI to make proper assumptions on navigating a website or navigating your application. It's going to help to be really, really, big picture, help humanity to go even faster. So I think this is really cool, and if it can help us create better tools, that's perfect.
I must say, what really I think was important that you mentioned and caught my attention was the part about standards. And I think you make a really good parallel to constructions, building houses and skyscrapers. We have been building houses and properties for a very long time. But how long have we built software? From the 90s, late 80s, or maybe earlier?
I know that the epoch, whenever you ask a computer, the first, when the world started, it's the 1st of January, 1970. So I guess that's somewhere really early. But there were computers before, but I think maybe how we see it is somewhere around. So it's older than you think, but it's still really, really young.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the biggest shifts. Now that you mention it, that we will see the amount of standards that will come, and we can see it from the data regulation point of view, that started already in 2012, 13, 14, that, you know, they came with directives on how you should handle GDPR, etc., etc. So I think that is step by step. And now in 2025, we have accessibility, which is, I would say, a very good regulation, because it will be including all the people, and no matter your disability. How can, you know, test automation helping you, you know, get to complete and not getting any fines from you know, the regulators?
I think it's a pretty, like any testing, like any acceptance testing that you do. We can create tools like we do to make it easier, but you still need to do the work. So I think maybe as of our tooling today, we can do maybe 50 to 70% of the testing. But I think
that is related to accessibility.
Exactly, and then the rest of you need to do yourself, and because they have to do with more background knowledge. There, you know, if you look at like the contrast of a text against the background, that's something that we mathematically can look at and say, okay, you can't put a black text on a black background because you won't be able to read that. So it doesn't make any sense. But the contrast needs to be big enough so you can read it. But for example, let's say use accessibility from a, let's say that we're working with currencies for some reason. We are a financial institution. We talk a lot about that, and then you show it in dollars on one page and then in Swedish crowns in another page, and in like that's not accessible, but it's not wrong, and I don't think that. Or maybe it's right because you're working on a exchange page and you're looking at the actual exchange and it makes sense. But if you have one number here and then on one other number that it's the same amount, but it's just different currencies, it would make it hard for me to understand. You know, okay, $10 and now it's 100 and whatever crowns here. Why are they using different currencies? I don't understand. Really bad example, but anyways, you see. So, and that one, it would be hard, I think, to automate. You need to know what the product does.
I see. And you were mentioning it before, the impact of AI.
Mm-hmm.
I know AI will help, you know, the humanity. We will start, you know, getting back to the moon again, hopefully. But how will AI enable us to become accessibility compliance? Is that a word? I don't know, but I think you get
probably compliant. But I don't know. AI can help with a lot of things. You can test it. It can augment. I think it could be a pretty cool thing to just say, okay, here's the directive, throw it in there, upload a PDF or point to a web page, and then tell the AI to go to a different page and just say apply whatever you learned from this directive to this web page. I think that's probably going to help out a lot. But I think from another perspective, I think we can use AI. If we improve the web pages, all the different digital tools with VCAG, AI is probably going to be able to faster understand what's on the page, which is going to lead to faster reading with the AI. So the AI can read, for example, for a blind person. But one thing that we don't talk that much about is the energy consumption of AI. So it takes a lot of energy to do all these computations. I think people were talking, I don't know if it's true, but maybe they were talking about it's in parallel or even more than Bitcoin was earlier. So it's a lot of energy that is spent on AI. Maybe there is some more people using it, but there is a lot of energy going to AI. But if you make it simpler for the AI to understand it, your tool or your product, then it's going to be less. So it has kind of a holistic impact as well, I guess.
Yeah, I get. And how I know you referred to it earlier, like with shifters or test automation, you are able to achieve X amount. I don't remember the number, but I want you to circle back to the shifters platform and our capabilities on how we can enable our customers to become compliance when it comes to accessibility. What can we do for them, and how do we do it on a very high level?
We just add it to our tests, really. Like, so as we move along and use navigate, follow the customer how it's using our tool, we also validate the compliance here.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and we look at different things in the tool. Like, for example, contrast is one of them. We look at how they define how they structure stuff on the page. So there are a few different things that we look into to try to comply as much as possible. So I think we get a pretty good picture of the total accessibility standard of the tool of the product when we have done our test.
I was thinking to do 5 quick questions. Okay?
Go ahead.
And you're going to answer with maximum 2 to 3 words. Okay?
Okay, that's going to be hard. Okay, go ahead.
Or maybe 1 to 3. And you can't use good or very good.
Okay.
Okay? So it's a challenging, and you can say pass if you want to elaborate on it. So the first question is, not a question, just I say a phrase, then you're going to say what comes top of your mind. And you can't say good or very good. Accessibility testing.
Hard, I think.
Good. Hard. Okay, pause. Elaborate. What's hard?
It's a hard problem. Anyone reading through the VCAG directive can see that it is a hard thing to solve.
Okay.
There are certain things that are easy, but I think it adds an extra complexity to the engineer that is creating the tool.
Very good. Let's go to the next one. 4 more to go. Accessibility testing and AI.
Interesting.
Good. Accessibility testing and shifters.
Cool.
Okay, now we are on 3. Now I'm making up those. I had these 3 in mind. Okay, VCAG in 2025.
Bad.
Bad? Why?
No, because I think that no one is really prepared.
Oh,
for
we're
it.
behind.
Yeah.
Okay,
the world is behind.
Okay.
I know companies that have been working with this for 10 years and they're still behind. And the amount of companies that haven't even started, I think that's a great majority. So that's bad.
Okay. Accessibility and inclusive. No, wait. I take it back. This is the last one. I make them up on the spot. This is a broad one, so we can elaborate on that. But accessibility and hardware.
Yeah, it's been going.
It's a very broad question. I think that's another entire.
I could only say 3 words, but so copy it.
Copy it. Okay, it's okay. We're out of the game. Elaborate.
So accessibility has been going on. Like, we have been creating accessible stuff for a while.
Mm.
Like, the physical world has accessible things. Like, I don't even know, like.
You like the keyboard, or?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That one would probably be recreated if it was created today, but it's. But I think that we have created a lot of accessible stuff in the real world. Like, I know we have made it possible for people without, leg movement, which people we have problems with the back or something, we can put them in a wheelchair. That's making it accessible. People that are like, I think one of the coolest people, not alive anymore, but used to be Stephen Hawking. Like he changed a lot of stuff in the world with his research. But if he would have gone 100, 200 years back, he would probably not have been around for very long. Which is, so, we have solved a lot of accessibility issues. So I think copy it. There is, we can probably find analogies between how we solve something in the physical world and how could we solve it in the digital world as well.
I think this is very good, and we're gonna finish off the podcast right now. But I think it's a good circle back to what we said. How young technologies compare to everything else in the real world. So we didn't plan for that circle back, but it was a good one. But anyhow, thank you for listening in or watching. If there is anything more you want to know about accessibility testing and how we can help you to become compliant before 2025 or earlier than that, don't hesitate to reach out. We will link to the VCAG below this video. And yes, thank you so much. Have a great day and see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.